Welcome to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. I'm your host, Ashton Rogers, and this show is dedicated to helping dental professionals build stronger, more profitable practices with less reliance on insurance. Today, I'm excited to welcome back Gary Takacs, founder of the Thriving Dentist Show podcast and longtime co host of this very podcast. Gary has spent over 46 years coaching more than 2,200 dental practices across all 50 states. And as a former owner of a dental practice himself, he personally led a full transition away from insurance dependence. Today's episode is our 400th, and it's called LID episode 400, What I've Learned After Coaching Over 400 Practices to Successfully Reduce Their Insurance Dependence. We're going to talk about how you, the listener, can successfully reduce insurance dependence. Gary, welcome back to the show.
Ashton, it's great to be back. It's hard to believe that this is the 400th episode of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. My goodness, that's about 8 years consecutively. We haven't missed a week in over 8 years of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. And it's exciting to be back for this milestone episode 400.
Yeah, what a time. Time sure flies. And time has really flown in terms of insurance as well. Now, shooting on to our very first question, Gary. This question is very, very straightforward. What has changed in recent times regarding dentists deciding to reduce their insurance dependence?
Yeah, Ashton, that is a great question. And I'm going
Mhm.
to answer it and then amplify my answer. The more
Okay.
things change, the more they stay the same. Have you ever heard that saying, Ashton?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Let
I
me
have.
let me explain what that means here. Uh,
Hmm.
Now, as the time we're recording this episode, we're in rather historic times in our profession, in the dental profession.
Yeah,
And we're experiencing some things that are causing some pressures on our profession. Like, for example, um, it, we'd have to have our heads stuck in the sand to fail to recognize that inflation is very real in every dental practice today. Would you agree with me, Ashton?
oh, yes, 100%. I agree with you.
Inflation is real.
Yeah,
Everything that a dental office purchases, whether it be supplies, equipment, whatever, is more expensive today than it was in the recent past. Uh,
definitely.
One of the areas of inflation that is especially pronounced is wage inflation. Wage inflation.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
we've had extreme levels of wage inflation. Wages for our team members are at all-time highs. Whether we're
yeah.
talking about administrative team members, clinical team members, our hygienists, our office managers, in order to be competitive today and attract and keep the best people, which I know that's a goal for any of our less insurance dependence listeners, then they have
Hmm.
to pay more to attract and keep the best team members. And yet, in the face of all that inflation, dental insurance companies are not raising their fees under their contracted
Hmm.
plans.
Yeah.
You think they might have a little bit of empathy for dentists and say, oh my goodness, your costs are going up. Let's see if we can pay you more. No, nothing like that occurs at all. In
Hmm.
fact, they are reducing the fees that they're paying dentists. In some states, the reimbursement that you get for a hygiene appointment won't even pay your hygienist hourly rate,
Wow.
let alone all the other costs of employing your hygienist. The room, the equipment, the infection control, the admin cost to put a patient in the seat in your hygiene appointment,
Hmm.
that doesn't include
Yeah.
any of that. And so even though our costs are going up, we're not seeing much sympathy in the form of insurance companies raising fees and raising reimbursement. But at the
Hmm.
same time, when I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same, dentists are
Yeah.
still staying in network. are still staying in
Mm-hmm.
the network despite that. And they're simply heading down a path
Yeah.
that is only going to get worse. Ashton, there is a
Mm-hmm.
parable in the American culture that I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you're familiar with it. It's called the boiling frog parable. Are you familiar with that?
Ooh. No, Gary, tell me about it. I would
Let
love
me
to
tell
hear.
you. Let me tell you about the boiling frog parable. It's a parable.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how the parable goes. The story goes that if you took a frog and you dropped it
Mm-hmm.
into a boiling pot of water, by the way, don't do that. I'm an animal lover, so don't do that.
uh,
But if you took a frog and you dropped it into a boiling pot of water, the frog would instantly sense the heat and jump back out and save its life.
mm-hmm.
However,
Yes.
if you put a frog in a pot of water on the stove, maybe it's lukewarm water, and then you dial the heat up in the water, it'll get
Mm-hmm.
to a boiling point where
Yeah.
the frog will eventually die because of the
Mm-hmm.
effect of the boiling water. Well, in
Yeah.
that parable, the dentist today is the frog. You're in that
Mm-hmm.
you're in
Okay.
that pot of water, and the
Yeah.
insurance companies are dialing it up, getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So don't be the
Mm-hmm.
frog. Don't be the parable of the frog.
Yeah.
The water that is about to go to boil, because it will be your end fall. It's a
Okay.
good way to think about this.
Yeah, yeah, it's a wonderful way to think about this. What an answer, Gary. That was really deep and hard hitting. And now, going into a bit of a niche question. We know that less than 10% of all dentists are either fee for service or have a reduced insurance footprint. Why do you think that is?
That is the data. The data is that something less than 10% of all the practices in the U.S. are either fee for service or have a very reduced insurance footprint. I wish I could define it even further, but that's the best data that I can provide. And the
Hmm.
reason that is the case, there's a one
Mhm.
word answer, Ashton.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
answer, that word is fear. Fear.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
I like to
I
think
see.
of I like to think of fear as an acronym. So let's spell it out. FEAR.
Mm-hmm.
Let me now create an acronym around that. False evidence appearing real. False
Oh.
evidence appearing real. And the fear that dentists experience when they consider resigning from a PPO plan is
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to lose all their patients. That's their fear.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
the real fear.
that's their fear. And it is false evidence appearing real. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
in the intro that in our Thriving Dentist coaching, we've done this over 400 times in
Oh, yes.
all 50 states.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
and the result has been I've lost patients, but fewer than I expected. Fewer than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose patients, but now you're going to get paid your full fee, you'll be better off at the finish line with now patients paying your full fee. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, Gary.
Well, and another thing that's changing is, again, I have some hard research on this.
Okay, tell me about it.
The Health Policy Institute, HPI for acronym HPI, it stands for
Yeah.
Health Policy Institute. They're an independent research organization that does research on behalf of the ADA, the American Dental
Hmm.
Association.
I
And
see.
in 2025, about a year ago, right now, summer of
Yeah.
2025, they conducted a survey of dentists all over the country. And one of the survey questions was, how many of you are considering resigning from at least one PPO plan by the end of 2025? How many of you are considering resigning from at least one PPO plan by the end of the year?
Oh, this answer's gonna be fun.
The answer was 68% of
There
all
we
dentists
go.
were considering that. So I think we're starting to see a momentum change where dentists are tired of being taken care of but taken advantage of by the insurance companies. They're tired of losing money to take care of
Mm-hmm.
patients. They're tired of not being able to pay their team members enough to remain competitive in this environment, that they've had enough
Yeah.
saying, no, I've got to do something differently. 68%. Ashton, that's more than 2 out of every 3 dentists is considering resigning from at least one plan. Now, I haven't seen the follow-up data. How many actually did that? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
isn't it interesting that 2 out of 3 a year ago were
Yeah.
saying enough's enough? And really, I believe that should be your sentiment, doctor. Enough's enough.
Enough is truly enough. And that scarcity is exactly why the next question matters so much. If fee for service and reduced insurance practices are still such a small minority, even after a study like that, the dentists who are considering that path can't just wing it. They need a real game plan, Gary. So let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice. How can our listeners prepare to successfully resign from PPO plans?
Well, let me answer it in kind of a different way, Ashton. Let me tell our
Okay.
listeners what not to do.
Okay, okay. Taking the reverse approach.
Do not send a letter to every one of your insurance patients telling you you're resigning from their plan. Do not do that. Do not do that. Emphasis on not. We've seen the byproduct of that, Ashton.
Hmm.
Normally,
Yeah,
normally new clients come to us in Thriving Dentist Coaching because they want our help to do this. But occasionally,
yeah,
it's happened a handful of times. A doctor has said, I think I can do this on my own. They send a letter out to all their patients. It goes terribly. And then they call us to say, help, we made a mistake. We need to, unravel this. We need to unpack this. So don't do that.
uh,
But
yeah.
there's 3 things you can use to evaluate semi-objectively. You can evaluate whether your practice is ready for this. Now,
Okay.
let me make a statement that frankly saddens me. It makes me feel sad, but I'm going to state
Hmm.
it anyway. Not
Yeah.
every practice can successfully resign from PPO plans.
Oof, the hard truth.
Um, do you recognize that, Ashton?
Yeah,
I
I
wish
can
I could say every
visualize.
practice could do this,
Yeah.
but no, not. It's just like not everyone can run a marathon.
Mm,
Ashton,
yeah.
one of the things I love to do. I'm an endurance athlete. I run marathons, half marathons, triathlons. Actually,
Oh, yes.
training for my first Ironman. Um,
Damn.
Not everyone can just run a marathon. Yeah,
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to get off the couch. I'm going to run one. That typically won't do it. Won't get the job done. You've got to prepare.
Yeah.
If you prepare it with proper preparation, anybody could run a marathon with proper preparation. Same thing with going out of network with proper
Yeah.
preparation. So let's evaluate where you stand with this. I'm going to use
Okay.
3 criteria, and I'm going to use the stoplight analogy: red, yellow, green. So when I look at each criteria, I'm going to ask you to evaluate: are you green, mean go, ready, in that criteria?
Hmm.
Are you yellow, meaning sort of ready, sort of not ready, you're in between? Or are you red?
Okay.
Red means you're not ready at all. So the first
Okay.
criteria is: how relationship driven is your practice? The more relationship driven you are, the better you and your team members connect with your patients, the more
Mm,
success you'll have going out of network. Because when you treat people so well that they're connected
mhm.
to you, they don't want to go anywhere else. They want to go to an office where they're being taken care of by doctor and
Yeah.
team members who they know, like, and trust. Now, the only
Ah,
problem with evaluating how relationship driven you are, Ashton,
yeah.
is
Yeah.
it's very subjective,
Hmm.
very
Hmm. It
subjective.
is.
But so let me help you unpack this if you're a listener. Doctors, without looking in your practice management software, without looking in your software, can you
Hmm.
name 5 patients that own their own business? Can you
Ooh.
name 5 patients that are school teachers without looking in your practice management software? Can you name 5 patients that are first responders, policemen, firemen, paramedics? Okay.
Mm.
Can you name 5 patients who recently retired? maybe recently in the last 2 or 3 years. If you can rattle off answers to those questions without looking at your software, you're relationship driven. However, in hindsight, if you know what I usually hear, Nira, when I do this face to face with doctors? Oh, I can't tell you their name, but I know their face. Not good enough, doc.
Oh,
That means you need
not
to
gonna
work
cut it.
on being more relationship driven. So maybe if that's the case, maybe you're more of a yellow light on the red, yellow, green. So number
Mhm.
one, how relationship driven. Number two, what does demand look like in your schedule? How far out are you booked? I'm going to ask you this question for two specific appointments. When is your first available non-emergency new patient appointment? When is it? Look in your schedule,
Mhm.
find it. When is it? If it's out there more than 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you've got lots of demand in your schedule. Now, that's not good news, is because you're going to lose new patients because they're not going to wait. They're going to go to another office. But when you have that kind of demand in your schedule, you're better prepared to resign because, frankly, you can afford to lose some patients. The other appointment I
Mhm.
want you to look for is when is your next available hygiene appointment? Ashton, I asked
Ooh.
that question today to a client of mine, and
Okay.
he said, Gary, I'm embarrassed to tell you this. It's 7 months from now.
Oh,
Seven
gosh.
months. But that's good news in going out of network because you have the demand in your schedule to resign. You can afford to lose some patients.
I guess it's a good problem to have.
Evaluate whether you're red, yellow, or green on that
Mhm.
second criteria of demand in your schedule. The third question is much more objective. We can measure it. Do
Okay.
you have proven marketing in place? Proven marketing that's proven. You can prove it to
Mhm.
replace any patients you're going to lose when you go out of network. Now, let me back up.
Okay.
I want to make a statement. I want to make this very bold and very blunt. You are
Okay.
going to lose patients when you go out of network. You're going to lose patients. I wish I could tell you there's a way to do it and not lose any patients, but I'm not going to tell you that. So I've never seen that happen. You're going to
Mhm.
lose
Mhm.
patients. So go back to that third criteria to evaluate your readiness.
Mhm.
Do you have
Okay.
marketing in place? If you do, you get a green light on that one. Maybe it's yellow. Maybe it's so-so, not quite.
Mhm.
And maybe it's flat out red. I've never done any marketing. So
Oof.
if you fall less than green in any of those three criteria, being relationship driven, having demand in your
Mhm.
schedule, and number three, having proven marketing in place, then what you need to do is work on those things before you resign. It doesn't mean you can't ever resign. It means you need to
Mhm.
strengthen those areas before you. It means you need to do a little bit of more work before you're ready for that marathon. Does that make
More
sense?
training.
You do more
Oh,
training.
yes.
Yeah. Um, and there's plenty of things we could do to solve, those three criteria to prepare you to successfully resign from PPO plans. You bet.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And resigning from PPOs isn't just an insurance decision, right, Gary? It's a business decision. And like any good business decision, it needs to be backed by a solid plan for growth, which brings us to a great resource for practices making that leap. If you are ready to fully prepare to reduce your insurance dependence, the team at Ekwa Marketing offers a complimentary marketing strategy meeting at lessinsurancedependence.com/MSM. So now, Gary, I
I want
know
to
our
reinforce that for a minute, Ashton, though. In our work at Thriving Dentist Coaching,
yeah,
we have often referred our coaching clients to Equa
yeah.
and have seen very, very good results.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're curious, if that's an area that needs attention, I would recommend Equa. I would encourage you to schedule that marketing strategy meeting and see how they can help you solve that third piece of the readiness, the preparation and readiness factors.
Listeners, you heard the man right there, coming from Gary himself. And now, Gary, I know our listeners might be thinking, well, this sounds all good, but is there any real world evidence? So, Gary, can you provide a case study of a thriving dentist coaching client who has successfully resigned from PPO plans?
So, Ashton, I'm going to provide a very specific case study. I won't use the
Okay.
name. for
Okay.
confidentiality reasons, but I'll use
Of
the number.
course.
And this one is etched in my mind, and it will be
Mm-hmm.
in yours as I share this story. This
Oh, I
was
can't wait.
a coaching client of Thriving Dentist, and
Okay.
this is a very strong solo dentist, owner dentist
Okay.
practice, 4
Okay.
days a week, works 4 days a week clinically,
Whoa.
strong hygiene department, two
Okay.
full-time hygienists, with a very nice mix of services, a combination of really three things: everyday
Mm-hmm.
general dentistry, all the things that we think
Okay.
of as general dentistry, a
Mm-hmm.
very strong hygiene department, including a conservative periodontal therapy program within hygiene, and
Okay.
a very nice mix of what I like to call high value services. Things like
Mm-hmm.
placing restoring implants, things like
Okay.
cosmetic dentistry, complex
Mm-hmm.
restorative dentistry. So this is that practice. And
Okay.
when we started working with this practice in 2023, we started working at the
Okay.
very beginning of 2023. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he had it with being a network. He was contracted with 12 PPO plans, 12 PPO plans. And so
Okay.
the strategy that we designed was that during the year of 2023, we would do all the preparation to be
Mm-hmm.
out of network by the end of the year in 2023, the end of the year in 2023. So we would,
Okay.
most of that was happening in the fourth quarter, Q4. Uh,
Okay.
in October, November, December is when he was resigning. But by
Mm-hmm.
January 1st, 2024, he would be completely out of network. He had made the decision to go completely out of network. So most of what we did in 2023 was all the prep, all the training, making sure we enhanced our marketing, make sure the team members were fully trained on how to communicate with patients about this.
Okay.
Made it to the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and by December 31st was now completely out of network, completely fee for service. So let me give you the numbers for 2023. Remember, strong
Okay. Let's
practice.
hear it.
This practice in 2023 produced $1.9 million in dentistry
Oh,
and
wow.
collected 1.4.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you're listening to this, you might think, "Oh my goodness, that office has a collections problem." No, 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 no. The 1.9 was his production in his real fees, not his contracted fees.
Mm,
The
there we go.
1.4 was what he collected. The $500,000 difference, almost all of that was insurance adjustments. Insurance adjustments. So remember, just etch this in your mind, Ashton. 2020,
Yeah.
produce 1.9, collect
Mm-hmm.
1.4. Now
Okay.
let's go to 2024, where he's completely out of network, completely out of network. In
Okay.
2024, his production went down to 1.8.
Oh,
Now, normally we don't like to see production going down, but it's not
yeah,
the
of
story.
course.
So remember, the previous year produced 1.9 in real
Mm-hmm.
fees. Now the next year it was real fees, produced 1.8, but he
Okay.
collected 1.7.
Oh, there we go. Hit the nail on the head there.
Now, if you're listening very closely, you might be asking the question, Gary, what's the $100,000 difference between the 1.7 that he collected and the 1.8 that he produced? Almost all of that went to his in-office membership plan because he offered his patients a 10% courtesy that were part of his in-office membership plan. Now, Ashton,
Okay.
I don't like a 10% discount, but it's a whole lot better than the discounts he was subjected to, under the PPO plans.
Oh, yes.
Much better than that. And it allowed us to roll the red carpet out to attract people that don't have insurance, which
Mm-hmm.
makes your practice stronger. But if you're listening to this, here's what I want you to focus on. Doctors, take as long as you like. What would you prefer? Produce 1.9, collect 1.4,
Mm-hmm.
or produce 1.8, collect 1.7? Take as long as you like.
I mean, Gary, I can tell you right here.
Yeah, all day long. You'd rather collect 1.7. Now, it gets better than that, Ashton. Let me
Oh, really?
go a level deeper. So even though
Okay.
practice improved by 300,000 in collections, same team,
Mm-hmm.
same hours, same everything. Nothing
Okay.
changed on team, nothing changed on hours. Same everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we work with our clients, solo dentist practice, to have overhead no higher than 60%. No higher than, so let's say this practice had 60% overhead. In the
Okay.
first example, his overhead was based on having to produce $1.9 million worth of dentistry. The overhead's not based on what
Okay.
you collect, it's based on what you produce. The next
Oh,
year, he
uh-huh.
produced 1.8. His
I
overhead
see.
went down by another $60,000. So it went down. So now the net gain was not just 300,000, but it was $360,000 a year.
Oh,
Think about that.
damn.
That's pretty attractive.
It's
By the
very
way, this is the
attractive.
gift that keeps giving. We now have data from this practice in 2025, obviously, and I've got data through the 6 months of 2026. So
Hmm.
you might be wondering, well, what's the continuation of the story? In 2025, this office produced 2.2 and collected 2.1. It's continued.
Congratulations to them.
And we're on track this year to be somewhere between 2.3 and 2.4 in production, and about the same level of collection, somewhere around between 2.3 and 2.4. Yeah. Now we're only six
Oh,
months through, so we still have work to do this year. But it
of
kind of
course.
points out how attractive this could be.
Yeah.
How was that for a case study, Ashton?
Well, Gary, I mean, that case study provides some very compelling data. And like for the financial benefits, insane. But in addition to the financial benefits of reducing insurance dependence, what are the other benefits that you have observed?
Great question, Ashton. Certainly, the financial benefits are compelling,
Hmm.
very, very compelling, and you deserve
Yeah,
it. You deserve to get paid fairly. But there's
of
other
course.
ancillary benefits. For
Hmm.
example, there are patients that to them dentistry is a commodity. In
Hmm.
other words, a
Yeah.
crown's a crown's a crown. Doesn't matter where you go. We
Yeah.
know differently. By the way, the patients that leave your practice tend to think about dentistry as a commodity.
Mm.
And they arrive, the truth is, can you get a good patient from Delta? They go to the Delta website, they see that you're, in network. Can you get a good patient from Delta? The answer is yes, you can. You can,
Hmm.
absolutely. And any of our listeners can say, yeah, we have. Yeah. But they often arrive with baggage,
Oh,
psychological baggage. And the psychological baggage that I am referring to is an insurance mindset. They only want to do what's covered by their insurance.
I see.
And that
I see.
has a weighing effect on dentists. So let's say the patient's interested in something that's not covered by insurance, like a dental implant.
Hmm.
The first
Hmm.
question out of their mouth is not, well, doctor, how would replacing that missing tooth with an implant benefit me? How would that benefit me? The doctor wished that was the question because they can answer that question all day long. But
Yeah.
instead, the question they get from an insurance patient usually is that covered by my insurance? And when we say
Understandable.
no, unfortunately, your insurance doesn't cover that, then very often the patient says, well, I'm not interested then. And this has a very heavy psychological effect on dentists because they have
Hmm.
all this skill and training, and they've invested in all this technology and all these capabilities, but the patient's only interested in it if it's free. In a way,
Ah,
the patient's really telling you, I don't value you. I don't value you.
mm,
And if that goes on for years and years and years, it's no wonder that many dentists aren't as excited about their career as they were when they started. They're
the
very
youthful joy.
frustrated by it. Yeah. A client of mine, a husband and wife client of mine recently, um, did a research project for me, and
Okay.
it was amazing, Ashton.
Okay. Tell me about
So
it.
they had gone all the way out of network with the exception of Delta. So they made the
Okay.
decision at one time that they'd stay
Hmm.
in network with Delta. However, it went so well in resigning from the other plans, they decided to resign from Delta. And
Mm-hmm.
it's now been over a year that they're out of
Okay.
network with all plans, including Delta. So
Oh.
the doctors said, Gary, we did something for you that you're welcome to share with others. We looked
Okay.
at all of our Delta patients
Mm-hmm.
and we looked at when we were in network with Delta, what percent of our patients accepted elective treatment, not urgent treatment like toothache,
Mm-hmm.
but what percent of our Delta patients accepted ideal treatment when we were in.
Okay.
And the data was less than 8% of their Delta patients would accept
Mm-hmm.
something that wasn't covered by their insurance. Less than, so in other words,
Oh.
reverse that. 92% were saying, I'm only interested in having this done if it's covered by insurance.
Oh.
92, this is an actual practice, 92,
Okay.
a three doctor practice, husband,
Okay.
wife, and an associate, three
Good
doctors,
practice.
less than 8%. And so the doctor said, Gary, here's what we've concluded.
Mm-hmm.
The Delta patients were only in our practice to get their free cleaning.
Ah,
That's it.
there we go.
If you would like to really, you have a practice where you're attracting people that respect you, that want to know,
Mm-hmm.
doctor, help me become as healthy as possible. Help me keep a beautiful, healthy smile the rest of my life. You're way better
Yeah.
off going out of network because you're going to be aligning with people that want those things, that want those things. And in turn, you're going to feel a whole lot better about going to work every day because you're helping people with your care, skill, and ability. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
as important as the money side of it.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to tell you, Ashton, recently I learned something that really saddened me. Um,
Let me hear it.
I
Tell
won't
me.
use the name of the group out of confidentiality, but there's a large uh, public, well, it's private, large private Facebook group for dentists only.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm part of that group. I've been invited um, to occasionally moderate and answer questions that come up on that forum.
Okay.
And the founder of that group is someone I have a very high regard for. Very
Okay.
very high. He's a second generation dentist. He's passionate about dentistry, and he created that group as an online way for dentists to connect with one another. And he asked
Okay.
this question. And we'll conclude with this today, Ashton. He asked this question
Okay.
in the forum in the group.
Okay.
Knowing what you know now,
Okay.
how many of you would advise your son or daughter to become a dentist? Pretty straightforward
Oh,
question. Knowing what you know now,
yeah.
how many of you would advise your son or daughter to become a dentist?
Mm.
Ashton, do you think that number is a majority or a minority number? Is it more than 50% or less than 50%?
I'm guessing less than 50%, Gary.
It's significantly less than 50%.
Ooh, there we go.
And as I read through the answers, how
Mm-hmm.
many of you would advise your son or daughter to become a dentist? The overwhelming answer was no, no, no.
Ooh.
In many cases, there was an explicative in front of the word no. Now, I'm not going to say the explicative because we have to keep clean lyrics here on
Of
our
course.
Less Insurance Dependence podcast. Otherwise, it'll be bleeded out. Um, but many times it was explicative no. By the way, it was only 1/3 said they would advise their son. 2/3 were no, no, no. And Ashton, I have to tell you,
Damn.
that information saddened me. It made me sad
Yeah.
because my
Yeah.
view of dentistry is very different. I think dentistry rocks. I think it's an amazing, amazing profession. It's an amazing career choice. But
Yeah.
obviously, dentistry can kind of be a tale of two types of dentists: those that are
Mm.
happy and they go to work, they love what they do, and
Mm-hmm.
those that it's another day at the salt mine.
Okay.
And those that feel it's another day at the salt mine are much more likely to be in network dentists. because of the way
Mhm.
all those factors have a negative effect on you. And I'm on a mission to change that. I want to change that. I want to turn that tide, turn it over. I think dentistry is amazing. You get the ability to change people's lives every day, but you can't
Yeah.
change people's lives if the only thing they're interested in is if it's covered by your insurance, by their insurance.
Oh, well, what a topic we have had today, Gary. Thank you so, so much for spending your time with us today and for being part of this 400 episode milestone. The biggest takeaway for me here, Gary, is that dentists can successfully resign from insurance dependency with the right strategy, coaching, and training.
Uh,
If more,
Ashton, have you ever heard the saying, if it's been done before, it must be possible?
oh yes, yes, I have.
Well, guys, this has been done before. We've done it over 400 times. Uh, if you'd like to join the ranks of those that have successfully reduced insurance dependence, and you'd like some help doing that, let me invite you to schedule a coaching strategy meeting with me. Go to thrivingdentist.com/CSM. That'll open up my Zoom calendar. You'll schedule a meeting with me. The purpose of that meeting is for me to get to know you and to learn more about your goals. I'll share a little bit about our coaching, and we'll determine if it's a good fit. If that's your wish, schedule that meeting. Go to thrivingdentist.com/CSM.
Thank you, Gary, for that. And if more quality new patients is your priority, you can schedule a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with Ekwa Marketing at lessinsurancedependence.com/MSM. And like Gary said, if you'd like to benefit from Gary's experience in successfully guiding over 400 practices to reduce insurance dependence, you can also book a complimentary coaching strategy meeting with Gary at lessinsurancedependence.com/CSM, or as he said, thrivingdentist.com. Reducing insurance dependence is one of those milestone decisions that can make all the difference in your practice. Thank you for listening to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. I'm Ashton Rogers, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye bye for now, and thank you all.